a great sense of happiness every day, fulfillment, sense of freedom. I felt acknowledged. I felt appreciated. I felt supported. And so, but that is probably something that's an inside job. And so if you want to have those things in entrepreneurship, it's not something that entrepreneurship itself is going to give someone.
Today on the Rainmakers Network Podcast, we have an unbelievable lawyer here. Her name is Syrita Morgan. She is with the Southwind Law Firm, and she represents holistic wellness centers, medical providers, and entrepreneurs. She is really, really awesome. You're going to want to listen to this podcast about how she's grown her business, the different types of holistic providers that she represents and entrepreneurs. And you're going to also want to hear about some of her golfing expertise because she is an amazing golfer and she has a great Instagram presence. Make sure you watch this episode.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
First of all, just tell me what is the name of your law firm and what type of cases or what type of clients do you work with?
So my firm is called Southwind Law, and we do business law, contracts, contract litigation, contract drafting, and then some intellectual property work and some wills, trusts, and estates work that's done through of counsel.
Got it. And then you mentioned before that I guess you were in you were in LA for law school. Is that you transferred over there?
Yeah, I finished law school in LA and then I practiced in LA before moving to Florida.
How long were you there for practicing in LA?
I was only practicing there for a year.
For 1 year.
It's kind of crazy to take the California bar to practice for 1 year.
Well, you got it under your belt now, right?
Yeah, I keep it inactive, but I do keep it.
Who were you working, were you working with a firm in LA? Tell me about that.
I was working in-house for State Farm.
Really?
In LA. And then when I moved to Florida, I was still working in-house for State Farm. I was doing bodily injury litigation in California. And then when I moved to Florida, I moved onto a PIP team.
Really?
Yeah, so it switched to breach of contract litigation. The PIP
it's interesting.
coverage.
I never did any PIP work, but for some reason your name sounds familiar but I don't know why, And then I was thinking maybe it's from State Farm, from your work with State Farm, but it wouldn't have been from LA, and it probably wouldn't have been here because I don't do any PIP litigation down here.
I did bodily injury litigation briefly at State Farm right before I left. I did a temporary work assignment just to see if I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to do it.
Wasn't your thing?
No, I appreciated my time at State Farm. They trained me really well. I had a lot of ease for someone who got to have my own caseload right away, an agency in the way I handled my cases, and full support in handling my cases.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that early on in my career because a lot of people don't have that. If they're in a firm, they're stressed out, or if they're working, at the DA or something, they're stressed out and they don't have a lot of support.
Yeah.
So I did feel like I put myself in a great position to be very well supported while I was learning to litigate.
So what I noticed, at least, and I just on my own curiosity, so in State Farm in California, was the name of the obviously you're working for State Farm, but what I've noticed at least here in Florida is there's a name of a law firm underneath the umbrella of State Farm. Did you work with someone it was David Strong, PA, or something like that?
At the time, it was Mark Weiner. That was my first managing attorney. They just named the office after whoever the managing attorney
Got
is.
it, yeah. And it changes from time to time, right?
Yeah, now it's Courtney Flint, who was actually the woman who interviewed me as an intern, and now she is the managing attorney there.
Really? And that's the one in California?
Yes.
And then was there one that you worked for when you were with the PIP team down here in South Florida?
Mimi Smith and Associates. So maybe that's where you got Orlando from, because my managing attorney was technically in Orlando.
It wasn't that. You must have gotten some kind of press. Because I was just doing some research before we were able to sit down because I wanted to learn a little bit more about you. There was an article written something. It was Orlando Times or Orlando something, but it was an interview, and you kind of talk a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember doing it? No?
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Yeah, especially about a year ago, I was doing a lot of
marketing stuff.
Interview. Yeah, exactly.
That's smart. You know what I mean? Because then people Google you, they find the article, they find all about you and the type of work you do.
Yeah, especially when I wanted to niche down, the best thing I could do is just tell everybody.
Well, you made a huge move because you went really from one industry, and then you kind of transitioned into doing the health and wellness and holistic medicine, legal work. Why did you make that transition? What was it?
I always wanted to work in the holistic industry in law school. Before law school, a lot of people thought that I should go be a a naturopath or a holistic wellness coach or something like that. And I always wanted to work in that industry as an attorney. And so while I was in law school, I talked to a lot of women law firm owners who were doing the type of work that I wanted to do, maybe not in the industry that I wanted, but they were doing business consulting work and contract work in the areas that they wanted to. And they all told me the same thing. They were like, transactional work is great, but go get litigation experience first.
Really?
And yes. And I fought it tooth and nail as advice because I didn't feel like it fit my personality. I didn't think I would be good at it. I didn't think I would enjoy it. I didn't think it would fit my lifestyle. And I was wrong about all of those things. Like, I loved litigation.
That's why it's important to have mentors to kind of give you like that guidance to say, hey, do this first before you switch into business or whatever. I'm kind of similar. Like I always wanted to do personal injury and litigation and trial work. But when I graduated law school, I went straight to the state attorney's office so that I was forced to just try case after case after case and get that experience, And it's like you resisted at first, and then it's like you look back and it's like was the best idea ever.
Right. Yeah. I grew so much I feel like it gave me like my shark teeth a bit because I've always tried to be nice and kind, and I can still be kind and still be an effective advocate and litigator for my client. And I would never have known that about myself if I hadn't put myself in that position.
How do you think that litigation work at State Farm and doing, bodily injury stuff and the PIP work that you were doing, how do you think that has translated into your like running your own business and helping your clients now?
Definitely appreciation of systems. Like, I knew right away, as soon as I started my own firm, I have to have systems. Like, I thrived very well in the structured system environment in State Farm. And also being able to be supported was something that was new for me. Being able to manage support staff and work with other people was something that I probably didn't do very well before I started litigating.
Yeah.
Also, with the PIP work, the PIP is breach of contract litigation. So I was really glad to get that moving away from the personal injury litigation to be doing contract litigation was really nice and helps me now in the contract litigation that I do.
Oh, of course, because you're actually looking at the contracts, you're looking at the provisions, you're seeing whether or not this contract provision was breached, whether it was, and conditions proceed, and all the other cool stuff that you probably do in your business now.
Exactly, and the technicality of pleadings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is holistic medicine, and explain to me how like you kind of intertwined a legal practice with it?
So holistic wellness practitioners or entrepreneurs, they can run the gamut. Some of them are very science-based, some of them are more spiritual-based, but it's really an approach to wellness that is an alternative to what medical healthcare is, like traditional healthcare. So I have clients that maybe are human design experts or yoga practitioners or there's a variety.
There's a whole variety of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you have acupuncturists, probably. You have like herbal medicine doctors, things like that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I have one that's a practice that they do acupuncture. They also sell herbal medicine, traditional Chinese medicine.
Sure.
Yeah.
That stuff works too. I don't know that I've done it. I don't know that I've tried.
Absolutely.
I know. I think some people have like some people either have a hesitation towards it. It's like some people look at chiropractors and they're like, I don't believe in chiropractic medicine. I happen to believe in it. I think you get your back cracked, like you're able to, like there's ways that actually can make you feel better.
Yeah.
And I think I have a resistance towards it personally, and that's why I said that, because it's like in a different world, it's like other people are like, what, are you kidding? It's obviously it's helpful and it works. I have I have this resistance to it, but I think as I'm getting older, like I'm way more open to it. You know what I mean? Because I think it does, like I know for sure there's certain like herbs and there's certain supplements that can really make physiological positive changes for you.
Yeah. And those are the physical things, herbs, essential oils. Those are physical things. And even in law school, people could like smell me coming into an exam because I had all my essential oils. I would put my little stones around me. And those are physical things, but there are even non-physical things that still will like introduce a different physiological response.
Tell me about them. Tell me.
Like flower essences, it's a non-physical part of the plant. It's literally the energy of a plant, where
Really?
the essential oil is the physical part. The essence is just the energy, and it's typically imprinted on a water molecule.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of like receiving the energy or the gift of that plant almost the way people will walk out in nature or be in a flower garden, and they have a sense that it changes their state or their way of thinking, or they have access to thoughts they wouldn't normally have. Or even if they're at the beach, they're receiving from nature in that way. Or some people will receive from crystals and stones. Those have energies too that can be imprinted on water molecules. And so you can receive them. You don't even have to eat it. You can keep it on your body. You can, like in a bottle, you can put it down your tongue if you want to. And I would say that the more non-physical aspects of holistic wellness are the things that really carried me through law school and the bar exam and litigating and having a great time in all of it. And one of the things that those things did is allowed me to really receive a change in like my personality or like my mental space to be able to really take on the traits that I needed to adopt to be in those new environments and to have that with ease.
Yeah. Wow. That's unbelievable. I think like when I think of a person, right? Like your niche is the perfect fit for who you are, right? And your business to help these other businesses because you actually live it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a passion, you know?
Yeah. And if I'm doing something like a shareholder agreement for someone who's wanting to scale their business, I understand like the black and white and I can explain the terms to them, but then I'm also very aware energetically of how this person is experiencing this process as a transition in their life. And so I may speak to that if I have words that I know they can hear, or energetically, I'll just be a space that really like fosters ease for them in the process.
How are you getting clients? Is it word of mouth? Because again, like a lot of this is interesting stuff for at least for this podcast, because we have a lot of lawyers and a lot of other business owners that watch, and they're trying to learn how do they grow their business. They're either doing Google, they're doing social media, they're doing something. What are some of the ways, because you really are niched? How are you finding clients? How are they finding you? Is it word of mouth? What is it?
For me, it's mostly word of mouth and me getting out there. I get out there a lot within my industry, which is fun for me because I picked an industry that I'm very passionate about, and for the most part was already in already. I also am an energy worker, so I kind of know the places to go, and I'm still finding new places, new associations. Like 2 nights ago, I was at an event that was a capital exchange for the Holistic Business Network, which is like a national network for holistic entrepreneurs. So holistic wellness entrepreneurs, and they focus on more like science-backed holistic wellness. And but I'll go to just different events like that. Like I put myself out there a lot, and when I'm there, I'm talking to them, speaking their language. I don't act like or dress like an attorney. But then if they have an issue or something they want to talk about, we can talk.
That's really, really cool. I mean, but it takes a lot of work, you know what I mean? For you to be out there and to do it and to show up. And that's what a lot of people like need to recognize, is that getting clients, growing a business, it's 24/7. It doesn't stop. And it's like, you got to constantly be thinking of new ways, but also showing up. You know, I've heard a lot of like really great rainmakers, people that are able to bring in business, and it's because they get cases because they keep showing up.
For sure.
You know? And especially like I'm like very not a social person, but sometimes you got to force yourself into that position and go and show up and meet with people and talk with people, let them know who you are, what you do. Yeah. It sounds like that's one of your primary ways of growing the business.
I'm super social in the environments that I'm passionate about. But if someone put me in like, you know, maybe like a tax accountant, happy hour, I would be miserable and I would probably leave after 30 minutes. But I try to do things that are going to be fun for me, just in every area of my life. And so that it's actually, instead of being draining, it's something that feels fulfilling and energizing for me. I look forward to doing things, and I don't always do things that are in the wellness space. I went to, are you familiar with the Miami Lawyer Stories events that happen sometimes?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know what it is. Go ahead, tell me what it is.
Lawyer Stories, it's a, I'm not even really sure what it is. It's definitely an Instagram page.
I've seen it. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
lawyers share their unique experiences in the law, but then they have pop-up events around the country.
Cool.
And so I saw when they had their last one, I was like, I really want to go. So then when they had their most recent one, I went, and I found out after I bought my ticket that it's mostly personal injury attorneys and people in that industry.
Damn personal injury attorneys. I swear I can't stand them.
Are super fun.
Rainmakers.
They're
not Rainmaker. They're ambulance chase. I'm a personal injury lawyer, so I don't know.
It's okay. I worked for a plaintiff personal injury attorney for a little bit. And,
did you?
Yeah. And I like that side more than the defense side.
Yeah.
But the industry itself isn't for me. But I think personal injury attorneys and a lot of the people in that industry, like some of like the MRI centers and things like that, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're fun social people. So I went to the event anyway. I drove all the way to Miami, which is far for me, on a weeknight.
Sure.
And I ended up meeting two great attorneys, their partners, and they have been referring people to me. And they referred one of my best clients that's now I'm general counsel for them. Really? And and it's like I never would have imagined that I would have gotten work, but something in me was just like, oh, you know what? I think it'll be fun to go. For some reason, I wanted to go the first time I saw the event. The second time I saw it advertised, it was an immediate yes for me. And I went and I had a great time.
Do you work with will you work with like chiropractors? Is that considered holistic medicine? Is that in like a different?
No, I can work with chiropractors. I don't work with chiropractors, but I can. I just happen to.
You haven't expanded into it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if you talk to a chiropractor, I don't know if they would consider themselves holistic. I think some of them do, for sure. Yeah. And then I think some kind of think of it in a different aspect.
Yeah, I had when I was in law school, a great chiropractor, and he was more on the fringe. Yeah. And he was like a kinesiologist chiropractor. Okay. But he definitely would do things with me that were like color therapy and things that weren't I've never been adjusted. I've never had that before.
Never had it?
No, but I've worked with chiropractors just doing other things.
So like when you said even right now, you've never been adjusted before?
Never in my life. Yeah. No.
I had a chiropractor on the podcast. His name's Mr. Cracks. He's got like 8 million people on TikTok following him. He's like insane. He cracks all these like celebrities and stuff. He cracked my ears on the podcast. It actually like legit made me feel better.
Yeah, I imagine that it does work. Yeah.
It has to. It has to release some kind of like stress, you know?
Yeah, I thought of it. I actually injured myself on the golf course back in September, and I fractured my hip. And
oh, man.
Fractured and then tore with detachment in my right hip. And I did go to a chiropractor. He helped me avoid surgery. We did like peptide injections and shockwave therapy and things like that. And he was okay. I never felt the yes for the adjustments.
Adjustments, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit scary too.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah. No, I knew someone who at one point, it was a client years and years and years ago, but I think she went through chiropractic school. She became a chiropractor, and one of her colleagues was just practicing like a normal crack, and she ended up having a stroke in her neck. So like there is risk, you know. I think it's a lower risk, but and she just may have been susceptible to it, but it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah. I did something in law school called an alpha biotics alignment. Have you heard of that before?
No, tell me about it.
It looks almost like a chiropractic adjustment on your neck because they put their hands around your neck and do this quick jolting motion, and you feel something throughout your entire spine.
Really?
But it resets your nervous system very immediately. And so it just puts you in homeostasis. It takes you out of fight or flight. And it holds pretty well. It holds for a couple weeks. Yeah. And so I would do that like every couple weeks when I was in law school, and I would notice changes in it.
Sounds like an adjustment to me.
I know it sounds like what.
Wait, was there a cracking sound?
When I was doing it in California, I felt like there was a noise to it.
Okay.
And then I found someone who does it. There aren't very many people who do it in Florida. There's a woman up in Palm City. Yeah. And so I went up to her, and I didn't hear anything when she did it. And she said, yeah, it's not necessary to have the sound. Some people do it that way. The patient feels like they're getting something out of it, but it's not necessary for there to be a sound. So she does it in a way that is gentler and doesn't make a sound.
So I want to talk more about these like events that you go to, you know, and so do you set up like a table? Do you or are you just there, you're meeting people, you're introducing yourself? Like, tell me about that, like what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't table. Usually they are ticketed events. I haven't. There are probably events that are not ticketed, and sometimes I sign up for them, but I end up not going. But usually, it's a ticketed event. It's for the industry. There are holistic wellness practitioners there, and I just go and listen to panel speakers and meet people and mingle and network.
And that's kind of how business, like eventually phone calls come in. They talk to you and they say, hey, I want to do a contract, or I want to open this business. I want to do.
Usually at the event, when people find out that I'm an attorney, they're saying, oh, I need X, Y, and Z. And there are certain people that they're going to keep needing it and they're not going to choose it. They're not going to use an attorney. And there are certain people that have been meaning to and don't know how to look up attorneys it's been on their list and they haven't been paying attention to it. But once I'm right in front of them and they also realize that I'm not, that I'm easy to talk to, or maybe not what they had in mind as what an attorney would be like, and they're appreciative that I understand their industry or speak their language, then I'll just give them my card and we can talk, we can meet another time, or you can just go ahead and email whatever your issue is, and we can start working.
That's really great. I mean, that is like the definition of rainmaking. You know what I mean? Going out, meeting people, talking to them, understanding their business, understanding their needs, and then them thinking of you, because I haven't met a lawyer that's niched down to that, to so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I have. If I really think about it, I just,
I see a few on social media. I see
holistic representing holistic clinic lawyers.
Yes, representing like holistic wellness or wellness practitioners. Maybe they don't say holistic, but wellness practitioners. And I there are some that I see.
You know what you need to look into. This is just, and again, I don't know whether you're interested. I'm telling you, but longevity clinics are popping up left and right, and it is becoming a major industry, especially with the introduction, or at least like peptides, things like that have become much more normal, and people are talking about it on social media and the benefits and things like that. But I'm seeing it a lot, I don't know if you would expand into that realm, but because I don't know, would that be some of it considered holistic if they're using like pharmaceutical grade peptide stuff?
It might be considered holistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not usually in those things aren't usually in the spaces where I am.
Yeah.
But though I did, like I said, when I had a medical emergency, I did use peptides for a couple, maybe like 2 months or so.
Sure.
Yeah.
BPC 157 is like one that like helps with.
I don't know what it was called.
I've been researching. I'm looking into it.
I just know I showed up, 3 times a week and he put it in my hip. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Though the Holistic Business Network that I went to the event for last week, they had a conference, like a week-long series of events back in October. And that was around maybe a month before that. I had just met them. Someone referred me to them. Actually, a woman from my golf, a golf group referred me to them. And they told me they had not found anyone who was an attorney, who did business law, and who focused on like their member base. And that was actually surprising to me, because like I said, I've seen some on the internet. Yeah,
and there may be a few, but maybe they don't have the level of like knowledge too, because like you said, you live it. It's your passion. It makes you feel good, so you kind of can understand like where they're coming from and how they want to grow, or what they need to do as far as helping them grow their business, and have them protected legally.
Yeah, that is true. The people who I've seen advertise, it doesn't appear to me, or at least they don't advertise that they are like any type of energy worker or wellness practitioner themselves.
Are you representing people throughout the country, or you're focused mainly on Florida? Like what? Tell me, like
right now I mainly just do Florida and Georgia.
Florida and Georgia. Wow. So, for anyone out there, like lawyers that are watching or people that are stressed out, give me like 2 tips holistically. What could they do to make themselves feel better and at ease? And because I know you're also into consciousness too, right?
Yeah.
Do you like to talk about that kind of stuff, like tips?
I love to. I have an entire book. It's called Happy Bar Prep.
Okay.
And it's just an entire book of practices and questions that I use to enjoy and do well in law school, and enjoy and have an easy time with the bar exams, both California and Florida, and then enjoy myself in litigation, in practice, and starting a new business. So let's see if I could think of one.
All right, so let me ask the
few
question.
tips.
Give me 3 tips that people can do to help them feel better holistically, emotionally, spiritually.
Okay. One thing is to ask questions, like be in the question. Even if you don't have a question, just ask it anyway. And there are 3 questions that I like to ask myself all the time. And that's, what's right about this? What's right about me? And how much fun can I have here? And really cementing those questions into just the framework of how I see the world and how the world shows up for me every day keeps me having fun and just kind of seeing the silver lining, seeing what's right all the time, because it's very easy to start to program ourselves so that we're actually looking to what's wrong or what's wrong with us or what's wrong about a situation and not having fun. So asking those questions and not making up an answer, just letting the answers show up as life experience is something that's really helpful. Another thing is that if something happens that you didn't expect or didn't like for me, I like to, in that moment, acknowledge when I knew that situation was going to turn out the way that it did. Like I'll go back mentally and say, okay, I actually remember when I kind of thought this wasn't a good idea, or it might not go the way I'm saying I wanted it to. And what that does is it helps me acknowledge that life is not happening to me, and helps me remember that I actually did make a choice. I chose this when I chose to ignore my intuition back then. And it also helps me remember what the feeling of my intuition is when I go back and think and remember when I realized that something, wasn't going to go the way that I was hoping. And the last thing would be just to breathe, like smiling and breathing, like big, wide smiles. We have parts of our vagus nerve that run here on the sides of our mouths. And typically in our society, it's really weird to be smiling all the time. So our mouths get more narrow and narrow. And the best thing to stimulate your vagus nerve is to just smile and breathe. And so I would do that whenever I was in a stressful situation or upset, like if I'm on the golf course and things aren't going my way, I smile and breathe. When I used to start networking when I was in law school, I would do that, and no one knows you're nervous or upset. They just think you're happy to be there. And eventually your body starts doing it for you. When you start to get towards situations where you might get worked up, your body will just start smiling. And it's not pretending that everything's okay. It's being willing to allow your body to regulate itself.
It's amazing. I wish, for me, I wish I was as aware as you are of your conscious, you know what I mean, and your own state, and examining it and seeing how you actually feel and the role you played in certain decisions. For some reason, I don't know that I don't know that I sit and think about it enough, but I appreciate that, because it's things that you hear other people, they do it, and it's something that you can incorporate in your life. And I noticed, you just mentioned about smiling. I noticed recently, I've met a few people that I've just been kind of drawn to, listening to them, talking to them. And I noticed that they smile when they're like in between sentences, there's this happiness that they have, you know what I mean? And you're well, that's really cool. I don't know what it is. It's but like you said, there's this subconscious thing. If you see someone that's smiling and they're having a good time, it's you're drawn to that, Yeah. I think it's really, really cool. All right, so that sounds like being aware of how you're feeling. Are there any other supplements or herbs or anything like that you recommend people use or anything like that to help them kind of stay relaxed? For instance, I found there's a supplement called L-theanine, and it's a I guess it's some kind of pharmacokinetic property or some kind of property that's within green tea, and they sell the supplement. And I did some research about it, and it helps calm your mind a little bit. And what I've noticed is if I wake up with a racing mind in the middle of the night, if I take an L-theanine, I fall back asleep. Not because it makes me tired, but because it stops the noise of my mind going really fast.
Oh, so I have a few things. One, I do an energetic work called access bars, and it actually clears the synaptic pathways in the brain. And it lasts for a week or two when I first started doing it, and now it could last for a month after I do a 1-hour session. And it's almost like just meditating for that hour. Having the process done to you puts you in a state of meditation. Even if you can't meditate, it doesn't matter. You're going to meditate while this is being done to you. And then the effects last for a long time. So that just kind of shuts down the monkey mind on a day-to-day basis for me.
Tell me what it's called again.
It's called Access Consciousness Bars.
And do you have a tape that you listen to, or do you go to a holistic medicine provider? What do you do?
I went to a class and learned how to do it. And so now I get together with other people who do it and we trade on each other. But sometimes when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, there was a woman that I would go to and receive it from her. And she charged maybe like $100 to do it for me.
Gosh, $100 for like peace of mind sounds like such a good deal.
It's relaxing while you're doing it. And then for you go out into your life and your life's just better.
Wow.
It's really awesome. But so the Access Consciousness bars, definitely, I love those. Also, getting sleep is really great. I personally, my life works best when I'm on 10 hours of sleep a night. I found that out. And there's a doctor in Boca, Dr. Shivani Gupta. I met her at a few different wellness events, but she told me one of the ways to really optimize my sleep is to make sure I'm going to bed on an empty stomach. So, stopping eating around like 7 o'clock or at least 2 hours before I go to sleep. And she explained that there are processes that our brain actually detoxes, like dumps out a bunch of like waste fluid. And it does that while we're sleeping, but not if our body is actively digesting food. So every night that we go to bed having eaten closer to the time we sleep, we're robbing ourselves of our body doing that detoxification process. And a lot of people, that just kind of really piles up night after night after night, and they have tons of waste in their brain. So getting a good night's sleep and also setting yourself up for good sleep by having an empty stomach when you sleep. She said at least like try to do that 80% of the time. Like, of course, sometimes we have dinner events and it's not always easy to eat earlier in the day, but she said for me to do that, and I noticed a huge difference. Like, I saw her a year later and I was like, oh my gosh, you've changed my life, because I thought I was getting good sleep, but that made my sleep a lot better. And just the quality of my days, with the way I respond to other people, how easy it is for me to be aware of my thoughts, is so different when I am getting a good night's sleep.
I think like every professional, everyone in either medicine or in neurological in that field, they all say sleep is like the most critical element for longevity, for health, for being emotional well-being. And I 100% agree. Because if you don't get a good night's sleep, like I probably went to bed a little bit late, like later than normal. Like I think I fell asleep like 11 o'clock last night. And I feel a little bit dragging today, which is different than if I go to bed at 9:30 or 10 and I sleep through the night. I feel so much better, energized.
Yeah. And I also have a breathing exercise. It's a Kundalini exercise called the Shabbat Kriya. And I learned this when I was an undergrad, but it helps you to go to sleep right away. And also it helps you to have very restful sleep. Even if you can only get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it puts you into a deep sleep faster, so that those 4 or 5 hours are really quality sleep. And so I will do that. If there's a night that I'm going to bed really late and I know I have to be up early, I'll do that breathing exercise before I go to bed to make sure that I'm getting good quality sleep. And then if you do that exercise somewhat regularly, you just will always have good quality sleep. The way that Kundalini works a lot of the time is you'll do it maybe for like every day or 5 days a week for like 3 months. And then it kind of resets your nervous system, and you don't have to do it anymore. Though in our modern world, we're always doing things to kind of hamper our nervous systems. So it does end up that we do have to end up doing it again, because we'll just kind of undo the good work that the breath work did. And I know that about myself. Like, I do things like I eat out at restaurants, I drink alcohol, all sorts of things. I'm, around cleaning products and detached from nature on a daily basis. So I know that one thing I can do for myself is just reset my nervous system with that breath work.
Yeah, that is so funny that we do as humans. We do so many things that detach us from all this healthy, good stuff,
Our own bodies are a healthy, good thing that are so resilient and could, if we let them, just reset themselves. But we don't let them.
We don't. I gotta work on it all. I think I did start putting the work in several months ago, where like I started changing my diet. I started taking better supplements. One of the biggest things that has helped me in the past like month or so, because I got some blood work done, and like doctors like, you're dehydrated, like these blood levels are showing dehydration. And I'm waking up in the middle of the night. My legs are kind of like, restless leg syndrome feeling. And so I bought this giant jug, and I've just been like drinking this outrageous amount of water every day. And I've been sleeping so much better at night.
Yeah.
Like your body is like, starving for these things.
Yeah.
You know?
Water. Sleep.
Do some of the holistic medicine, will they check your blood to see like levels, things like that? Or are they?
So it depends. Like,
Yeah.
At the event I was at Tuesday night, certainly those practitioners, they're science backed. They're going to be doing panels or telling you what things to go and ask for at your doctor's office. And I personally, like, my panel is, what's my appetite? How am I sleeping? How am I responding to other people? What do I feel like when I wake up in the morning? That's my panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I was growing up, anytime anything was wrong, my parents' response was drink some water, take a nap. Like if I said anything was wrong, it was like, oh, well, how much water have you had today? And
It's probably good advice. It's
For
great
sure.
advice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drink more water. Yeah. And have you eaten anything too? It's like, cause I can see it with my kids, like my younger son or both of them. Like if they're like, they'll just get all of a sudden cranky and crazy. And it's like, have you eaten anything? And it's like, that's all they needed. And like their blood sugar levels all off,
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good stuff. So, I used, I don't know if do you ever use any kind of app or something like that to help sleep? Or I use a thing called Headspace, and Headspace has like these really great guided meditations, like, to help sleep. Like I'll wake up and I'll put this like 10-minute meditation on, and it'll like walk me through like turning my legs off, my feet off, my, arms off, my head off. And then all of a sudden I'm out before it's over, which works.
Yeah. I like guided meditations. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
I that used to be like my ideal Friday night, is to, turn on a meditation or something. I don't do them so much. And one app that I would use is, there was an app, it was called the Who Does This Belong To app. And it just would remind me throughout the day to ask myself, like, who does this belong to? And the premise was that most of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we experience are not ours. And so if we just are kind of aware of that and acknowledge throughout the day, who does this belong to? Whether it's a headache or a negative thought or a pain in your knee or anything like that, then after a few days, you'll just have a lot of space. You'll be more detached from the experience of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so I used an app to help me to be continuing to ask that throughout the day, and just, it would pop up on my phone screen, like, who does this belong to? And I'd remember, and I might feel like had put myself in a mental funk or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, who does this belong to? And like, it's not mine. Like I remember, one time in law school, this was maybe like a couple months after I had downloaded the app, I was having a really good day. I'd been at my internship. I interned with State Farm before I worked with them. So I'd been at my internship, and then I was coming back onto campus for a night class, and I'd had a great day. And then I went to read in the library before class started, and then I didn't feel well all of a sudden. I noticed that I was reading, but I had to reread the same paragraph over and over again because I was just distracted all of a sudden. And I was like, what's wrong with me? That's what I said. And that's not really a question. That's me deciding that something's wrong with me. But I was like, what's wrong with me? And I kept trying to read it. And I was like, well, I started thinking in my head, well, I'll just go to class and then go home, take a shower, and go to bed. So I went from having a great day to like, I can't wait for this day to be over, looking forward to the day being over. And nothing had happened in between the time. And so finally I was still like just trying to muscle through the reading. And then I heard a man's voice saying something really violent in my head. And I saw like a vision of a guy like in a kitchen, and it felt like a fresh memory. Like it was like that morning, and he's like yelling at me, and I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't know anyone in my life who talks to me like this. Like at the time I was living like with my dog and my cousin, and we all got along really great.
Sure.
And so that was enough for me to finally stop and say, wait a second, like, who does this belong to? And I looked around, and there was a woman at the table behind me, just like sweating bullets. Like her hair was like stuck to her face. And I was like, oh, I get it. Like, we're aware of her. Like, cool. That's great. Now can we go back to having the experience that I wanted to have for my day?
Wow.
It was that fast. And then she ended up being in my class. And I talked to her at the break because, like, during law school, I was our SBA vice president and I was president of the Mindfulness in the Law Society. So I always felt comfortable to go up and just people I didn't know, just go talk to them. And so I approached her at the break and I'm like, hi, my name's Syrita. I haven't really seen you around here before. And she was like, oh yeah, this is my first semester back. I was here for a while and I took some time off because of a family she had a family issue or something. And in my mind, I was like, are you sure the family issue's over? And maybe it was, and she just was still reliving it. Either way, I don't know. I didn't ask. She either was out of that situation or she was, and reliving it, or she was still in it. I don't know. But I was like, yeah, I was just totally aware of her. And that helps me realize there's so much that we can feel, and we think that because we feel it, it's ours. And then I could have carried it on. If I hadn't heard that man's voice in my head, I would have kept thinking something was wrong with me. I would have went to bed thinking something was wrong with me. I probably would have woken up thinking something was wrong with me. And we do that with so many things, especially like in law school. I feel like people do that with feeling stressed or feeling overwhelmed or feeling like they can't do it, or like all of those things. It's like they'll get around, everyone else is thinking the same thing, and someone could have studied really well or prepared or be really excited about the experience, and then they get in an environment where everyone else is thinking something different, and they don't think that they're just trying to fit in with other people, but they're literally just absorbing everyone else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And that was probably the best app. That Who Does That Belong To? Like just training my mind to acknowledge that there's so many things around me that I'm aware of that have nothing to do with me. That really helps me to just have the experience that I want to have.
That's a wild story. Okay. No, it is a wild story.
Yeah.
And like, I think some people would be skeptical. You know what I mean? Some people would listen to him like, what are you talking about? How are you like feeling the energy of somebody else? But I believe it. Like, I believe it. And I probably like 2 weeks ago, I might've said, I don't believe it, but I had
what
something,
happened 2 weeks ago?
I had something happen. It was actually like last week when it comes to energy, and when it comes to something that's like just beyond like, like that there has to be some level of like, there's something out there, some energy or some spirit. And I'll tell you the quick story, but my father passed away last summer, and it was suddenly, it was unexpected. It's been devastating for me and my family. Since I was a kid, we have gone on vacation to Vail, Colorado, where once a year we go. It's a big family vacation. It started with my dad, me, my brother. We would go out there once a year to go skiing together. And then as our families grew, it was eventually my brother and his wife, and then their kids, and then my wife, and then our kids, and it became this big family vacation with my dad and my family. So last March we were out there. My dad was with us, and then he passed away in the summer. Second important part of the story is that ever since I was a kid, my dad's drink of choice was a vodka martini, straight up with a twist of lemon. When I was a kid, it was an absolute vodka martini with a twist, and then at some point Grey Goose came out, and it switched to Grey Goose martini with a twist of lemon. That was whenever we would go out, that's his drink. So this year, after my father had passed, we decided we're going to do this family vacation again, because we're going to keep this tradition alive. So we go out to Vail last week. We stay in the same hotel that we've been staying at for probably 20 years. It's called the Sebastian. It's right in downtown Vail. And there's a little bar in the restaurant, or in the hotel, where at the end of the day, because later on in life, I think my dad, he stopped skiing, so we would see him for lunch during the day, and then we would meet him at the bar at night, and then we would all go out to dinner. So there's a little bar, and he would sit at this one spot, and when we'd all come back in from, snowboarding or skiing, he'd be sitting there and he'd have his vodka martini straight up with a twist. So we all go back this vacation, this past week. We're in the bar after skiing one day, and we're sitting there. It's my wife, my kids. My wife orders a Kettle One and soda in a small glass. We're sitting there. She orders it from the server. A few minutes goes by, and he puts down a vodka or a martini glass. And my wife's like, "What is this? I ordered a Kettle One and soda in a small glass." He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Grey Goose martini straight up with a twist." I'm killing myself right now thinking about it. I'm killing myself thinking about it. And it was this shock. It was like what? And like since that day, like it's my dad saying, "Hey, I'm okay."
I'm here.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Yeah, man, that's powerful stuff, you know? So,
Yeah.
you know, when you talk about energy, you know, and like you being really aware and conscious of stuff, you know, I believe it. And I believe it. You know, you have maybe, I think it sounds like maybe you have something a little bit more than other people are aware that they probably have, but they don't tap into because you've been doing it for so long. You know?
Yeah. And it's so easy to tap into it.
Yeah.
It's like asking questions on a regular basis and being aware of how aware we are.
Yeah.
That's helpful. But those are really simple things. You know, it doesn't take a retreat or, you know, moving to Bali or anything like
Yeah.
that to be aware. And
Although we all would
day.
want to.
I would love to, but I don't
go
need
into
to.
the mountains for a few days, go to the lake.
Yeah.
Something.
And I realize that a lot of what I say isn't for everyone, though some of the things I say, I probably wish there would have been someone when I was younger saying them already.
Yeah. That's great that you've tapped into it. And then I think what's even better, just meeting you and talking to you, is that there's so many people that go through life just either hating their job or they're a lawyer and they just don't like what firm they're working for, the practice area, but they're not willing to do something about it. You know, I always found a tremendous amount of passion in personal injury, and it's just been so rewarding for me. And trial work, and I've just always enjoyed it, and so it's been very, very rewarding, and like I said, I just love it, you know. And it sounds like you found that also. It's like you had your work in State Farm and you did that, but you know what you truly care about and like what's really right for you, and you made a decision, and you took the action, and you started a business, and you're an entrepreneur, and you're a rainmaker, and you're going out and you're talking with people, meeting with people, and you're growing a phenomenal business in an area that is just, it's there to help people. And that's probably also very, very rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say, I was very happy at State Farm and litigating. And because I do have people who are attorneys who are saying they want to go out on their own. They can't stand working for other people. And you know the saying, like, wherever you go, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know that I would have left State Farm if I was miserable or because I was miserable. I had a great sense of happiness every day, fulfillment, sense of freedom. I felt acknowledged. I felt appreciated. I felt supported. And so, but that is probably something that's an inside job. And so if you want to have those things in entrepreneurship, it's not something that entrepreneurship itself is going to give someone. So like some people feel like slaves to their own companies.
Oh, for sure.
And can be very unhappy. So I wouldn't say that, I would say, yes, I have those things, the fulfillment, the joy, the purpose, and I have my own firm.
And it's funny because you said something about, you know, you were happy there. You felt acknowledged. You had the freedom. You were able to do the things, and it was fulfilling. But there was some kind of fire or spark that drove you to leave. What was that?
It was the knowing. So when I went into State Farm, I always knew that I was going to leave. I think I had said 5 years, and it ended up being about 5 years, but I had forgotten that I said 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was very comfortable and happy where I was and happy with my life. I had an extraordinary work-life balance. But I had just the inkling, just a feeling that it was time to go. And I've learned in my life to listen to those little whisper feelings, and because if I don't, they'll turn into sledgehammers. So I tend to that's one way of just staying ahead of anything that I don't like. I listen to those feelings. I listen to my intuition. So I started preparing myself. Like I moved. I started interacting a lot more with women who had just recently started their own firms, whether they were 1 year, 2 year, 5 years into having their own firms, and just building a different circle of colleagues and friends. And so I started doing those things to kind of prepare myself. And then when I did leave, I still loved my job. It was very, very hard to leave, but I did go. I think Oprah kind of says that too. She says, always listen to the whisper because it'll turn into a sledgehammer.
And did it turn into the sledgehammer?
No, because I listened to the whisper. I mean, who knows what my experience would have been like if I stayed at State Farm, but I'm not willing
Got
to
it.
take
So
that chance.
if you don't listen to the whisper, the sledgehammer is gonna got it.
It's going to come and put you where, you actually want to be. And I can think of one thing actually. So I played a lot of golf in my last 2 years at State Farm.
Uh-huh.
And I was playing at least maybe twice during the week, maybe like what do they call it? A twilight round, like a round after work during the summer. And then maybe one day I'm going to work a half day and get out in the afternoon. And then I would play on the weekends. So I was playing a decent amount of golf. At one point, maybe I could play 4 or 5 days a week. And I was like, you know what? I'm so excited that when I start working for myself, I'm going to play golf even more. And that was probably the one area where it's I totally shot myself in the foot, because now I play golf far less than I did.
Yeah.
But that's that example of just doing something for a reason, it does not usually create the outcome that you want.
Well, it's funny because I always said I left my other law firm so I could spend more time with my family, and and it's well, maybe after a few years of growing the business, maybe it's starting to come to fruition of spending more time with family. But at least for the first couple of years, it was definitely a lot less, you know.
And I look back and I played golf plenty, and I'm like, wow, maybe if I had just really appreciated how much I was able to get out back then, instead of just wishing I could play more and thinking that starting my own firm was going to be the answer to that, maybe I would be playing golf more.
Maybe you'd
now.
be playing golf more, but then you'd be there and you'd still have the whisper and the sledgehammer would happen, and you'd be unfulfilled. You wouldn't have this business that's growing and meeting all these people,
Yeah, no, the solution to me wouldn't be to stay at State Farm. It would be to, while I was at State Farm, appreciate the golf that I was playing. And instead of saying, gosh, I wish I could be playing more and I can't wait to be out on my own so that I can be playing more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it's sometimes it just because you made the switch, you know what I mean? And then you notice that there was there's a cost benefit analysis to everything that you do in life. You know what I mean? You play less golf, but you have a business and it's growing, and you kind of, I think probably now it sounds like you have more freedom. It sounds like you're doing something that is more fulfilling for you personally than working at State Farm handling, contract disputes with State Farm, where you're actually handling contract disputes for your clients, people that that you care about, that you're there for.
For sure.
I was at a firm for 11 years and they were fantastic. They trained me, they taught me, they gave me so much freedom. And I got to a point where I got to a level where I said to myself, I think I got to do something for myself. And it was a light switch. It was this switch that went click, I got to go and I got to do this, my own thing, and then I remember resigning, and then a week later, I had rented my office. It's a small, I was in this beautiful firm with all the support in the world, and these, a huge, big mock courtroom, and they had everything. I mean, they had all the tools. And then I just had this realization a few weeks later after I left, where it was I'm sitting in this small little office in a rented space in someone else's building, and I was just and with my own, I just had my paralegal. And I was like, wow, this was a big switch. You don't even realize until it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you got to figure out how am I gonna keep this thing going?
Yeah.
I actually did it in January of 2020. So 3 months,
wow.
I left there with no clients, no cases. And in March, world shuts down. And then
how did you network if it was during COVID?
The world shut down, and I had this thing, and I appreciate that question, but I kind of had this this desire to do social media videos, YouTube videos. Don't know why, but I just I wanted to come up with tips and strategies and kind of just come make these videos. And so during COVID, world shuts down, I started watching YouTube videos on how to make YouTube videos, and I bought cameras, I bought lighting, I bought I'm just ordering it all to my house, audio equipment, and I learned how to edit my own videos, and I just started creating these short 3-minute videos on topics that people were asking about at the time. How do you use Zoom, and how do you take a deposition by Zoom? How do you show up to a hearing on Zoom? How do you share your screen and you do a PowerPoint presentation on Zoom? So I just started doing these videos over and over again, and I started posting them in all these different subgroups on Facebook and social media. Yeah. And somehow people started to ask, reach out and talk to me, and I I also started sending gifts to every single person I knew. I was like, I knew everyone's like hunkered down in their house. No one's leaving. And so I was like, what can I do that's nice, that people will be thinking of me, that it'll be enjoyable. And I was like, s'more. It was the summertime. And I was like, s'mores. And I found these s'mores kits online. And I made a list of 150, 200 people. And I sent these s'mores kits to everybody. And people are sending me text messages and reaching out like, oh my God, we made the s'mores last night. It was so great. And like, that was kind of how I kept these relationships, you know?
Yeah.
And I have no idea. You look back at it and it's like, somehow people started referring cases, friends, family, people who knew me. And those are usually the best people. They want to support you. They want to see you thrive, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of a dream at this point, kind of like but very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how do people get in touch with you? Southwind
Law on Instagram, Southwind Law, or www.southwindlawyers.com.
And your Instagram handle so they can find you and watch you crush it at golf, because you're like getting birdies, you're getting bogeys, you're getting holes in one. I don't even know. I'm not a golfer, so I don't know.
Everyone will know. It's at Happy Golfing ESQ.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as far as some of the best clients, the people that you're looking for to help, who are they? Who should reach out to you?
Yeah. Holistic wellness practitioners, whether you're an entrepreneur or a thriving practice or chain of practices, and also wellness practitioners who are conscious-based and conscious creators.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I mean, this is really a very, very powerful, probably one of the most calming spiritual conversations I've had, and like self-aware conversations on the podcast. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That was fun. All right. Rock and roll. Man,